I'm Judith. I love Hungary, visit it all the time. But I thought I'd put together a few videos to help you get there a little bit easier. The videos are aimed at New Zealand tourists, although anyone from an English-speaking country will probably find it pretty much the same. So over the years I've done over a dozen trips to Hungary, anything from 4 to 9 weeks at a time. And many things which I now think of as normal, I realise for other people are actually a little bit odd. So my first video, I'm going to have a look at some of those differences as they appear to me. First up, Hungary is in the Northern Hemisphere, which means if you leave New Zealand in the winter, you will arrive in a Hungarian summer, where temperatures in the mid to high 30s is not uncommon. I've struck over 40 a couple of times. So pack lots of light summery things, but something warm as well, as after rain, and there can be lots, temperatures might drop to under 20 degrees. Violent heavy thunderstorms are not uncommon in summer. They may just last for a few minutes or a few hours. Lightning is common, and you get these lightning thingies, wires strung up across the roof and down the side to carry the lightning safely to earth. I do remember once being in an apartment building during a storm, and there was this amazing noise as the lightning hit the building I was in, and the line actually ran straight out next to my window, so it was quite frightening. Now, during the Hungarian summer, New Zealand is 10 hours ahead of Hungary. So keep that in mind if you ring home. If it's 7 a.m. in Hungary, it's 5 p.m. in New Zealand. That's great. But at 5 p.m. in Hungary, it's 3 a.m. in New Zealand, which is why I've got some odd phone calls over the years as people get them round the wrong way. Don't think you can pick up a cheap phone or even a SIM card to take advantage of local calling rates. Buying a phone in Hungary requires a Hungarian ID. It's better to find an app and use the net. Many places have Wi-Fi, including some public transport and of course Mickey D's. Assuming you arrive in Budapest, you will find Hungary very international at first. You'll see people of all ethnicities and hear a wide range of languages. But in Hungary, people speak Hungarian, and it isn't anything like English. Sure, people involved in the tourist industry often speak some English, at least long enough to get you registered at the hotel or point out the local sites, and many young people are learning it as the first step to leaving Hungary and finding work in the more affluent economies. But don't expect everyone you meet to understand English, not even a word. So you step out of the airport into the heat, and the next thing you notice is they drive on the right-hand side of the road. Keep this in mind when you are crossing the road. And don't try getting in to the driver's seat as a passenger. I'll do a video later on driving in Hungary. A surprise to me that although there are a lot of European cars there, as you would expect, there are also a lot of Japanese cars, which, as it turns out, are made in Hungary. Public transport and getting into the city from the airport will come later. Suffice to say, public transport in Hungary is pretty good and cheap by New Zealand standards. For instance, a door-to-door shuttle from Debrecen to Budapest airport, which is about 260 kilometres, was about $50. And when I got home, a door-to-door shuttle from the airport back to my place, about 20 kilometres, was $44. You get to your accommodation, there's another video in the wings, and the light switches are upside down. And if your accommodation has a shower with a mixer, which isn't that common, be prepared to turn it in the opposite direction. You go to charge your device and find the plug sockets are a bit different, actually very different, but a simple adapter was enough, as they use the same voltage as in New Zealand. But they just use 2 round prongs instead of 3 flat ones. And the missing one is the earth, which doesn't actually thrill me that much. Now look around the room. Chances are there are no sprinklers. Certainly not a smoke detector to be seen. Actually, in my flat last year, there was a locked security grille from the corridor to the lift and the fire escape. One thing that may disappoint is the blue Danube. It isn't blue, it's a muddy brown, but it is reasonably big. And in Budapest there are many beautiful bridges. By New Zealand standards, many buildings appear quite old and interesting. By European standards, they are reasonably new. First, because Hungarians have only been in Hungary for just over 1,000 years, although the Romans were there about 2,000 years ago. You can see the ruins if you go to the right place. But due to the damage caused by a number of wars over the centuries, most recently being the bombings in the Second World War, a lot of the buildings were destroyed. And don't forget the charming Russian apartment blocks, also known as the panel houses. Solid concrete walls, small rooms, no insulation. Not the best place you want to live. Throughout the city you'll see many examples of public art, mostly statues. And in summer there's also outdoor performances, both musical and theatre. If you leave the city, you'll find Hungary on the whole flat. Most of it is only 80 to 100 metres above sea level. Only 2% is above 300 metres. The highest mountain is just over 1,000 metres above sea level. And that flat land is mostly covered with 3 main crops: wheat, corn and sunflowers. What you won't see is grazing animals, well, very rarely. Not because there aren't any, but because they're actually kept inside. Well, that's a start. I'll probably be doing a few more. Feel free to ask questions down below. Just put in a comment, and if I can answer your question I will, and maybe it will actually spur off a whole new video. So until then, viz love.